Hey everybody, I'm Mike with Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and this is The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So uncover your keyboards and fire up your fingers. It's time to join the conversation. Hey everybody, I am Mike, and this is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are watching The Right of the People. It is Friday night, March 19th, 2021. And no, you haven't lost your mind. It ain't 11:30, because we're not doing it at 11:30 anymore. We are doing it at 7 p.m. Eastern. Back to the original time slot. For those of you who haven't been around since the start of this thing, like this is like, what, the fourth year I'm doing it, the fourth season? Originally, it was a Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, but I got moved to working afternoon shift, and yeah, I couldn't do it at 7 p.m., right? So I had to swap to 11:30. But my life has arranged things so that now I'm off at this time, and I can be with you guys on Friday. So that's cool. At 7 p.m. because I'm going to be working day shifts now instead of afternoons. And yeah, that's going to be a change, but it's a welcome one because I'm tired of doing the afternoon thing. So yeah. Tennessee Gun Guy says, wait, it's 7 p.m. This daylight savings is getting out of hand. Yeah, no kidding. Speaking of out there in the chat, we got Missing Guns, who was first. Then Jason Stewart. We have Tennessee Gun Guy out there. Mike Warhorse. J Monty 1738. He says, yes, this is the OG time. Got 6 people watching. Ugh. Usually we got more folks at 11:30, but you know what? That's okay. We got Night Strikes thing going on, which he just started doing again. And right now, I think Clover might still be recording his podcast. I'm not sure. So I'm sure we might get some people up in here after a little bit. The Gun Snob is there, says, well, this is too early. I'm not watching. Yeah. Fet's dad said, you and crap. Well, I wouldn't say crap, but, you know, other shows, right? Hey, Squib showed up. How are you, brother?
A little preoccupied with work, but better late than not at all, right?
Damn Skippy. Damn Skippy. Remember, it's time to take out the trash now at 7 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay.
See, now I give you a good reminder on Fridays how to wrap up your week and get all this crap done, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm a little disorganized. Yeah, I'll take care of that. Thanks.
Outstanding. Well, folks, we got stuff to talk about, as we usually do, because this stuff never takes a break, does it? So let's get into one of our topics. I'm sure you've all heard about the atrocity that happened in Atlanta, the spa shootings. Wasn't going to talk about it because I generally don't want to give these things a voice, but I'm kind of forced to, and you'll see why in a minute. So that we all know what we're talking about, let's go ahead and read this piece from CBSNews.com. 8 killed in shootings at 3 Atlanta area spas, 1 suspect in custody, by Jordan Freeman from March 17th. 8 people were killed Tuesday in shootings at 3 Atlanta area spas. A suspect has been taken into custody in connection with one of the shootings, and Atlanta police said it was extremely likely he is also the suspect in 2 other shootings. At around 5 p.m., a shooting at Young's Asian Massage in Cherokee County killed 4 people, 2 of whom died after being transported to a hospital, according to the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. A 5th victim was injured and also transported to a hospital. Later, 3 people were shot and killed at Gold Spa on Piedmont Road in Atlanta. While officers were responding to the scene, they received another call for a shooting across the street at Aromatherapy Spa, where they found another person who had been shot and killed. Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant said all 4 victims from the Piedmont Road shootings were female and appear to be Asian. The South Korean Foreign Ministry confirmed to CBS News that at least 4 of the 8 victims were of Korean descent. The Cherokee County Police identified Robert Aaron Long, 21, of Woodstock, as a suspect in the Young's Asian Massage shooting. Long was taken into custody Tuesday night in Crisp County, Georgia. He was taken into custody without incident around 8:30 p.m. after Georgia State Patrol troopers performed a pit maneuver which caused the vehicle to spin out of control, according to the Crisp County Sheriff's Office. In a statement Tuesday night, Atlanta police said that video footage from our Video Integration Center places the Cherokee County suspect's vehicle in the area around the time of our Piedmont Road shootings. That, along with video evidence viewed by investigators, suggests it is extremely likely our suspect is the same as Cherokee County's, who is in custody. The FBI is assisting in the investigation. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki issued a statement saying the president has been briefed overnight about the horrific shootings in Atlanta. White House officials have been in touch with the mayor's office and will remain in touch with the FBI. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who's in Tokyo, offered his condolences, telling reporters, "We are horrified by this violence, which has no place in America or anywhere for that matter. We will stand up for the right of our fellow Americans, Korean Americans, to be safe, to be treated with dignity." Georgia Governor Brian Kemp on Twitter thanked law enforcement for the quick apprehension of a suspect and said, "Our family is praying for the victims of these horrific acts of violence." Senator Raphael Warnock tweeted, "My heart is broken tonight after the tragic violence in Atlanta that took 8 lives. Once again, we see that hate is deadly. Praying for the families of the victims and for peace in the community." I thought we weren't supposed to give thoughts and prayers. The New York Police Department said that out of an abundance of caution, the NYPD's Critical Response Command has been deployed to Asian communities throughout New York City in response to Tuesday's shootings. The reported shootings of multiple Asian American women today in Atlanta is an unspeakable tragedy for the families of the victims first and foremost, but also for the Asian American community, which has been reeling from high levels of racist attacks over the course of the past year. Stop AAPI Hate, an organization that seeks to raise awareness of anti-Asian discrimination throughout the pandemic, said Tuesday night in a statement. Pardon me, I should have muted that. Amateur hour here. But hey, you know what? You get what you pay for, right? Moving on, the organization noted it was still unclear if the shootings were motivated by hate, but added this latest attack will only exacerbate the fear and pain that the Asian American community continues to endure. So we had this jackass shoot people and kill people, and we're still not entirely sure why, at least as far as I know. There have been politicians saying that it's all racist hatred, and, well, they're saying some other stuff too, which we will get into. So let me move on to some of this other stuff they're saying. Because, as you can expect, the anti-gunners wasted by Jaren Steinbuch says Georgia's no-weight gun laws allowed Robert Aaron Long to quickly buy gun. Accused Atlanta area spa shooter Robert Aaron Long reportedly had no trouble buying a gun at a firearms dealership in Cherokee County on the day of the attacks, thanks to Georgia's no-weight gun laws. The Peach State does not require a waiting period for firearms sales, which means a person may purchase one from a federally licensed gun seller immediately if they pass a background check. Long, who was charged with 4 counts of murder and 1 count of assault for the first shooting in Cherokee County, bought a gun from Big Woods Goods in Cherokee County. Matt Kilgo, an attorney for the store, confirmed to Newsweek. If anybody knows what that time frame was when he bought that gun, if it was that day or if it was at some other time earlier, I would very much like to know. He said the store is cooperating with investigators and that there is absolutely zero indication there was anything improper with the firearm sale. Most background checks, if there's no flag on it, take about 100 seconds, Robin Thomas, executive director of Giffords Law Center, a national gun violence prevention advocacy group, told the mag. So you're talking about 2 minutes at most, and then you can have your gun. You can walk out the door with no training, no other kind of information, she added. Giffords has given Georgia, which has the 14th highest gun death rate in the U.S., an F on its annual scorecard of gun laws in all 50 states, according to the outlet. Republican lawmakers are now pushing for new legislation that would allow lawful weapons carriers to pack heat without a license. Can't tell the New York Post's bias, can you? On Wednesday, Matthew Wilson, a Democratic Georgia state representative, said in a tweet that in Georgia, it's easier to buy a gun than it is to vote. All right. What a crock of shit. I'm pretty sure you don't have to submit to a background check to fucking vote in Georgia. I'm pretty sure you don't have to fill out something like, a Form 4473 to fucking vote in Georgia. I'm pretty sure you don't have to go through all of that bullshit to vote in Georgia. At most, you show your ID, you walk in and vote. So to say that this... Oh, what a lying son of a bitch.
Georgia changes the rules at the 11th hour so you can vote from home by mail. You can't have a gun shipped to your house by mail.
Exactly. Lying bastard. So much for my family-friendly version of the show today. I digress. I never heard of someone in a rush to get a gun for a safe, good reason, he said in a tweet. Well, I guess I should tell him that I went and got a gun for a safe, good reason because I had a crazy sumbitch wanting to, threatening to kill me. So I went and bought one with what money I had left. As a matter of fact, it was a High Point 380. I had been without a gun for a little bit because I was broke. All I had was $130. This was quite some time ago. And I went and bought the High Point 380 and I had the means to protect myself that day. So, no, sir, there's at least one. But I digress yet again. 10 states and the District of Columbia require waiting periods for gun purchases, with periods ranging from 72 hours in Illinois to about 10 days in California and D.C., according to Newsweek. I would really encourage Georgia and other states across the country to look at what happened here and think about what they could do in order to reduce or prevent such incidents from happening again, Igor Volsky, executive director of the advocacy group Guns Down America, told the outlet. He cited a 2017 study by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, which found that waiting period laws that delay gun purchases by a few days reduce firearm homicides by about 17%. I would question that study completely and totally, starting with who paid for it, because that'll tell you why they got the results they did. This is particularly pertinent, obviously, against the backdrop of the spike we've seen in hate crimes in this country. We're at a 10-year high, Volsky told Newsweek, in particular the recent uptick in hate crimes against Asian Americans. So, yeah. It's because Georgia's has lax gun laws is why this happened. Does anybody know when this guy, let me see if I can follow that link to see if that will tell me when this guy bought this gun. Because I would be very interested to know when he got it. Let me see. So this is Newsweek. Let's take a look at this. On Tuesday, so he did get it that day. All right, but, you know, he passed the background check. I mean, there's no... What more do you want? Well, obviously, they want waiting periods. You know, criminals won't pay any attention to it. That's not enough for them. It's never enough for them. It never has been enough for them. These dirty bastards want to use any excuse that they can, just as this terrible atrocity, to further their anti-gun agenda. This doesn't surprise me a bit. Does it surprise anybody? I'm absolutely certain it doesn't surprise you at all, Squib.
No, it doesn't. You know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not one of these people that says it's a government setup because, you know, we got two bills in the Senate right now that people are saying, oh, they probably won't pass in the Senate. Well,
it's awful damn coincidental.
Yeah, it's awful damn coincidental. And these sorts of things happen at coincidental times. But that's something that we need to be aware of is that because something like this is in the media, it's in the news, that these politicians are there going, ah, crap, now I gotta, change direction like the wind. So if there were some that were not certain, they're gonna get criticized by the media, saying that they're for killing Asians. And the thing is, I noticed this story when I got the email from the governor's office here in Michigan explaining why the flags are in half staff all weekend. And I thought, this is down in Georgia. This has nothing to do with Michigan. This has nothing to do with, a Michigan politician, a Michigan first responder, or a Michigan veteran. That's usually what they lowered the flags for. And I'm like, well, she's virtue signaling. And in her message, she was saying that there's no place in our state for hate like this. And I'm going, isn't she being a little bit, presumptuous about what was the motivation? So then I looked into the story, and when I found out it was 3 massage parlors, I go, this isn't a hate crime. This guy's some sort of creep. So I listened to the press conference being held by the mayor with 3 different forms of law enforcement from Georgia there. And they said they interviewed him, and he said it's not a hate crime. This is because of a fetish he's got. And the mayor shut the guy up right there.
Of course,
because she was pushing an agenda. Now later he got back up there and he reiterated that it's not a hate crime. And he also said, by the way, there were people other than Asian people, which were they Asian people or people of Asian descent, Americans of Asian descent, or are they here on a green card? This is for not declaring their nationality. Are they from another country? Are they from here? And they're 3rd generation or 10th generation or whatever. But then he goes, and 2 whites were killed. And I'm like, wow, as a Caucasian person, I'm offended, because I'm making a joke about that, and maybe it's in poor taste. But the whole point being is the way that they were just, we're like 12 hours away from straight down I-75 to Georgia, and my governor's pushing this for her agenda. How many other politicians are going to use this in one way or the other, not just the ones on Capitol Hill or in the state of Georgia or in the state of Michigan, to block anything that they were looking at lifting a restriction on, like if somebody was trying to get constitutional carry or something like that? This could go really bad for us. This is really bad timing. Now, I'm not trying to make light of the people who died, but here's another thing. You're telling me that nobody in the vicinity of those 3 were armed? Isn't this likewise a good opportunity to talk about the fact that people need to arm themselves? Because despite the fact that the Georgia law enforcement officers kept stroking each other about how quickly they responded to this, he made it all the way down to fucking Cordele. I used to live down there. Cordele is near the Florida border. He was up in Atlanta and made it all the way down to Cordele on the interstate before they got him. So their response, in my opinion, may be faster than what they're used to, but not fast enough for us. Cops cannot be everywhere. So why aren't we talking about why didn't any of these people have a firearm to be able to defend themselves in a situation like this?
Because it doesn't fit the anti-gun agenda. That's why. Just as you pointed out, when the law enforcement was saying that during the interview, the guy specifically said, hey, this isn't a hate crime. This is a sex thing. It's about fetish. So this is the anti-gunners agenda. They need to make it a hate crime. They need to make it a case of domestic terrorism, because they are also pushing the narrative that gun owners are domestic terrorists. There are plenty of crap coming out about all that. So, it's, again, they are exploiting these poor dead women to further their anti-gun agenda, just like they do every time one of these very suspiciously timed events occurs. Let's see what's happening out in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, James says, yeah, we all need to be COVID tested now. No, it's not that kind of virus that you can catch on the computer, man. Come on. Pickle says, speaking of pay, my check still hasn't arrived for all the shows I was on. Oh, Okay. Mystic says that it was determined that you wasn't worth the pay, but instead should have to pay budget. Exactly. You owe me. Where's my check? Let's see. Pickle also points out this time, seriously, a wait would have done one of two things. Either change the weapon or change the day of the attacks. Absolutely right. That's it. That's all it would have done. Let's see. What do we got out there? People tell me, hey, calm down, check my blood pressure. I did get my blood pressure checked today. I had a physical today, and it was a little bit high.
I wonder why.
Snob says, how do you really feel about that budget? Don't hold back. Yeah, I know, right? Mugshot looks like a composite. If an anti-2A activist, red neck beard, side-shaved head weirdo, ginger, and sex addict jokes on the forum, yeah. Jason Stewart says, dude was just a sick son of a bitch. Blame it on him.
If this was a hate crime, what told me this was not a hate crime right off the get-go was he went after 3 massage parlors. He didn't go to a massage parlor, a Chinese restaurant, and Mr. Miyagi's freaking bonsai shop. Okay, he went to 3 massage parlors. That right away.
It's a sex crime.
But yet I listened to CBS, NBC, ABC, and my own governor all trying to twist this, and then the Atlanta mayor trying not to let that out. And it just goes to show they control the narrative. I sometimes wonder if along the lines of saying, okay, let's be rational and say that the timing is coincidental, but it's not a conspiracy. Maybe it's the way it's reported. If it's reported at a time where we're either trying to get gun control removed or they're trying to pass gun control, if they put this to the front of the news and make this a big story and twist it and spin it, then we don't need a government conspiracy. It's all the media and the politicians.
And I think that's what's happening. I think you're absolutely right. It's not necessarily that the government's behind it, but the anti-gun people make sure that they scream it from the rooftops every time something like this happens, or anything that they can twist into something like this, when they're either trying to get anti-gun legislation passed or the pro-gunners are trying to get pro-gun legislation passed. They want to ramp up and hype up anything that's even tangentially related to gun violence, quote unquote, so that they can bolster their position. It's absolutely disgusting. Yet the hundreds of times a year, thousands of times a year, hundreds of thousands of times a year that guns are used in a defensive capacity, hell, I give it at least 3 or 4 or 5 of them every week. They say nothing. Crickets. You have to actually go look for that information, when what they should do is trumpet that from the rooftops. But no, they don't. And we all know why. It's the same thing I've been harping on for 4 years. Media bias against guns and those of us who own them, period. Because as Kingpin used to say, they don't hate Trump, they hate you. And hey, guess what? It's the same thing. They don't hate guns, they hate you. They hate the fact that you have guns so that you can resist the plans that they have for you. And yes, I know I sound like I should be wearing a tinfoil hat, but I can't think of any legitimate reason why someone who has your best interest at heart would want you disarmed. I mean, I really can't. Unless, you're... But, yeah. Calaver says we need more roof Koreans. Yes. Never let a tragedy go to waste. Absolutely right. Right, Ro. You know that's what they do. They being the anti-gunners. So let's see. Speaking of about the domestic terrorism thing, here the anti-gun fervor. This is all being spun into the anti-gun narrative because, they're trying to win the culture war for their own purposes. This is a piece from Breitbart. Dianne Feinstein cites domestic terrorism concerns and push to ban AR-15s. Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat, California, is citing domestic terrorism concerns in her latest push to ban AR-15s and other commonly owned semi-automatic rifles. Breitbart News noted Feinstein's new ban, the Assault Weapons Ban of 2021, was put forward Thursday with at least 34 Senate Democrat co-sponsors. The bill is designed to ban 205 different firearms, including different variants of the wildly popular AR-15 rifle. The New York Post reports Feinstein is citing domestic terrorism as an impetus for the ban. She said, "We're now seeing a rise in domestic terrorism, and military-style assault weapons are increasingly becoming the guns of choice for these dangerous groups." Feinstein's legislation would also ban ammunition magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. On November 7, 2020, Breitbart News pointed to National Shooting Sports Foundation figures showing Americans own more than 71 million pistol magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds and 79.2 million rifle magazines capable of holding 30 or more rounds. The NSSF figures indicate that Americans own nearly 20 million modern sporting rifles, which are firearms that the Democrats categorize as assault weapons. Feinstein's office released a supplemental fact sheet on that's using that term loosely, fact, on her assault weapons ban, claiming said firearms are weapons designed for war that have no place on the streets of a civilized society. Now, what she really means is that she believes weapons have no place in society, unless the thugs loyal to her have them. So as I said, folks, be cognizant of what narrative they're trying to spin. You know, they have to, regardless of whether the shooting in Atlanta, the spa shooting, was a sex crime or not, they have to frame it as a hate crime because that's domestic terrorism. And they want to use domestic terrorism just like they did with the asinine bullshit that happened on January 6th in the Capitol. That's domestic terrorism. Being part of the NRA means you have domestic terrorist ties. You know, being an oath keeper, being a 3%er, that's domestic terrorism. Being a patriot is domestic terrorism. So remember how they vetted the National Guard troops for terrorist ties. Yet Antifa, BLM, those are pillars of the community. They're coming for you, just as Kingpin says. They didn't hate Trump. They hate you. Well, folks, they don't hate the guns. They hate you. And they hate the fact that you have guns because they know what the Second Amendment's really for, and it isn't about suppressing deer rebellions. It's about starting your own. What is with these ads on budget screen? What's he been looking at? I don't know. What's the ads? Oh, that crap. That kind of shit's always on there, man. I can't help it. I don't go looking at nothing crazy. Shame on you, Kingpin. Not Kingpin, but Pickle for fucking insinuating such things. Kingpin says there's no such thing as an Asian American. There's no such thing as a hate crime. There is no such thing as hate speech. There's Americans, there's crime, and there's speech. I'm guessing is the premise that he's putting forth there. James Cooper says, dude. So, dude back at you. Kingpin, you should have a link, man. Hop on. It's been a while since I've seen you on the show, brother. I don't know if you're able to this time of night, but if you are, man, hop on. And if you don't have a link, let me know. I'll send you one. So, yeah. Going on to more topicos. Oh, by the way, before we go any further, time for a little shameless commercializing, shameless plugs here.
Are you going to shill for Budget Guns and Gear reviews? Because I hear that guy is a real dirtbag.
I am going to shill for Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. I am in the pocket of big budget. Yep. So, yeah. Hey, if I'm not going to shill for Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, who is, right? Those of you who don't know, on April 17th, I have a basic survival workshop coming up. I know it's been getting a lot of traffic on the website, but nobody's signed up, so that tells me that maybe we initially set that price a little bit high, so we cut that down. And I also want to go ahead and let you guys have a little bit of a break on it. If you sign up between now and April 2nd, you get $25 off. So it was $225, now it's $175. If you sign up before April 2nd, $150. In that survival workshop, it's basically I'm going to be teaching you how to assemble an emergency kit and learn how to make fire, purify water, build shelter, and secure food. So I'm going to teach you basically several different methods of starting a fire with the stuff that's going to be in the kit. Purify water, which, there's a couple little nuances to collecting it. Build a shelter with the supplies that are in the kit, and make a couple traps and a couple improvised hunting weapons and stuff to kind of get you through until you can either walk out or someone come and find you. If you go over here to budgetgunsandgear.com, you can find a link to, you can find the Basic Survival Workshop on the website, but let me also chuck a link out there in the chat so you can just go check it out yourself.
To get that price, do you have to use discount code Chinese Virus?
No, you have to use discount code Budget25. So check it out, folks.
We ran into each other there. Hey, Kingpin.
Gentlemen, good evening. How is everybody?
Wonderful. Glad to see you, Kingpin. How you been?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Glad to be back with you. I was listening on the way home, and then I just got back to the house, so I figured I'd hop on and rejoin my good buddies, man. It's been a long time since I've been able to hang out. I've been watching the replays, but I work so much. Staying up late at night is so hard.
I hear you. How about making pure fire water? Yeah, no. I'll go to jail if I teach you how to do that. So, no. So what do you think about this, the media and politicians and some celebrities' response to this spa shooting? Do you think my analysis is correct, or am I completely off my nut? Well, about this. I mean, obviously I'm completely off my nut. Look what the hell I'm doing, right? Sitting in my basement ranting about shit. But,
No, I think you're pretty spot on as far as the Second Amendment goes, and the press to use this as another excuse to de-arm people. And but they're not going to talk about defunding the police. They want you to depend on the police, but don't talk about defunding the police.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I would add to it is this goes into the psychological warfare. Squibby mentioned it earlier. As soon as the first shot rang out, everybody in the world started screaming hate crime, just like Jesse Smollett and all these other fake ones that were out there. Everybody screamed hate crime before they knew what happened. And then if you listen to the press conference, all the cops, all the people at the guy's church, all the people that know the guy and are involved in this thing all said that he had a sex addiction and he was just twisted.
But that doesn't fit the narrative.
No, but what does fit the narrative is hate crime.
Yep.
Squib talked about it. The two, they didn't mention that the two other people that were dead were white until today. They never mentioned that. And then they still don't talk about it because who cares if some, grimy, white supremacists died.
Well, yeah, obviously they got to be supremacists. They're white. I mean, we're automatically racist regardless until we prove we're not. And how the hell do you prove you're not something?
Oh, I don't know. I think embracing the white supremacy movement is what I've been doing, because
Oh,
the way I see it, Nazism and white supremacy is way more diverse than Antifa or Black Lives Matter.
yeah, well, that's not a road I'm going to go down. I can't agree with you on that one in any way, shape, or form, dude.
Well, I mean, I don't know. When they call Brandon Tatum a white supremacist, I think being a white supremacist is a pretty good idea.
Who's Brandon Tatum?
Oh, he's a black dude.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus.
all those Latinos for Trump that voted for Trump and left the Democrat plantation, they're all white supremacists.
Ah, okay.
That's what I mean. No,
Kingpin is
okay,
being facetious.
yeah. The
Okay.
real, the real
Okay.
white supremacists, the whole 15 of them that exist still, they're
Yeah.
jerks. They're idiots. They're meant to be laughed at and joked and ridiculed. But the white supremacy that the government and the media is telling us about is way more diverse than Black Lives Matter is.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Black Lives Matter is a bunch of white liberal women with blue hair.
Yeah. The majority. Antifa's the same thing. Matter of fact, I'm sure their membership has a lot of intermixing there, intermingling.
Oh, plus you also have to be a pedophile to join both those groups too.
Well, yeah. Well, there's some diversity, some inclusivity.
Right? Yeah.
So I bring all that up to also point out that we do have gun control moving forward right now. So another piece from Breitbart. Senate hearing on Democrat gun control scheduled next week. A hearing on Democrat gun control is scheduled in the Senate Judiciary Committee for Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021 at 10 a.m. On March 15, 2021, Breitbart News report pointed to the NRA's warning Senate insiders indicated Democrat gun control would likely get a Senate hearing next week. Confirmed, this is a tweet from the NRA. As the NRA reported yesterday, the U.S. Senate will be hearing Joe Biden's gun control next Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021 at 10 a.m. NRA members and gun owners must take action. Contact your senators, which let me open this link in a new tab, and then I will throw that link out in the chat. So if you guys want to go try to contact your senators via that link, please feel free, because you gotta. We have to, as I say every week, let our Congress critters and elected representatives know what we think about this garbage, which I would assume, if you're watching this show, is that you don't like it. Because I know I damn sure don't like it. So currently before the Senate are H.R. 8, H.R. 1446, and Senator Dianne Feinstein's assault weapons ban of 2021. H.R. 8 is universal background check legislation, which will criminalize private gun sales. And even though, it would have done jack shit in this latest incident, I'm sure this latest incident will be brought up. H.R. 8 passed the Democrat-controlled House on a vote of 227 to 203. 8 House Republicans voted for this Democrat gun control bill. Vern Buchanan of Florida, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Maria Salazar of Florida, Andrew Garbarino of New York, Chris Smith of New Jersey, Fred Upton of Michigan, Carlos Gimenez of Florida, Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. H.R. 1446 is Majority Whip James Clyburn's, Democrat, South Carolina, bill to expand extended background checks from 3 business days to 10 business days. And at the end of 10 business days, if the background check is not complete, another 10 business day extension is given. Senator Feinstein's assault weapons ban of 2021 would ban 205 different firearms, as well as ammunition magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. Feinstein is pushing her bill as a way to fight domestic terrorism. Hate crimes, folks. Which, actually, domestic terrorism is pretty much anything they say it is. So, contact your Congress critters and elected representatives and let them know what you think about this garbage, folks. Yeah. As I said, I'm not saying that this is a false flag. I'm not saying this guy was manipulated into it or talked into it by, an agent provocateur. But I am saying the timing of this is awful suspicious if you want to look at it like that. But we know for sure they're taking advantage of and hyping up any damn thing to bolster this gun control crap that we have coming up next week. Remember, folks, this happens every damn time. We have a bunch of weak-kneed jellyfish spine rhinos in office at this point, and we need to make sure that they understand they will suffer for it at the ballot box if they support this garbage. The margin in the Senate is slim. And this all, of course, assumes that Chucky Schumer doesn't just put the kibosh on the legislative filibuster and ram this shit through anyway.
But don't worry, in 2022, I want all of you to vote with your conscience, even if it's the Democrat.
Yeah. Calavera says that never-ending extension is a backdoor ban if the FBI stops processing checks completely. Yep. Jacob S. says there was a shooting in my town today. No suspect found, according to what I know. Well, stay safe. Go ahead.
There's probably a shoot. Somebody probably just got shot right now, 20 minutes down the street from here, and nobody's ever going to find that out. But that's Baltimore. That's normal.
I was going to say, that's just Friday night in Baltimore. Come on.
Yeah.
What's newsworthy about that?
One of the radio hosts that I listen to, Chris Plant, he says, half the Republicans are Democrats, but no Democrat is a Republican. And if you look, go on CNN and look, they're Republicans, and all they do is trash Republicans because they're not really Republicans. Look at the Lincoln Project, conservative Republican group that does nothing but smash on Republicans all day and conservatives. Go to Fox News or Newsmax or wherever, and when they've got the leftist person on, they never ever go against leftism. Never. Nope. And when they do, Leo Terrell did. And he didn't come out and say, I'm a Democrat. He said, I left the Democrat Party. I'm a conservative now. He didn't pretend like he was still a Democrat and talk a bunch of trash about Democrats. He left. But all these other people, that's why there's a lot of psychological warfare going on. And you got to pay attention. Yeah, all of these people are liars. All of them.
What do you mean they're liars? They're public servants. They're just looking out for what's best for, the poor, benighted peasantry who doesn't understand the subtle nuances of governing.
Yeah, I thought that's what I said.
Sorry, folks. I'm writing down my moron list here before we get to it.
Maryland just passed. They failed a couple times passing, but they finally got it passed. And then Larry Hogan, who is not a Republican, please, if he runs in 2024, don't vote for Larry Hogan. Vote for the Democrat. He vetoed it, and then they busted his veto because they had enough bust the veto votes to do. Mm-hmm. And now there is no such thing as private sales in Maryland. I don't know. The next time what's it, November or something like that, or June, whenever the next laws that they just passed go into effect. I can't remember how they break it down, but there are no more private sales. Now, every year for the past 6 or 7 years, there's been at least 300 murders in Baltimore every year, while the population is declining by tens of thousands of people a year. So the murder rate's really going up.
That's because of the iron pipeline coming from Indiana and Rocall's store. That's it.
Exactly. So just mark this down, that I guarantee there'll be over 300 murders for the next 2 years, even though there's no more private sales.
Guaranteed.
And in Montgomery County, Maryland, where MS 13 and 18th Street go, they're still going to chop your daughter up with a machete, whether or not it's easy to get a gun or not.
Well, Kingpin, I'm going to tell you what. Banning private sales isn't enough. Because, you know what? People can just go to gun shows and buy ghost gun kits. At least that was the theory in Pennsylvania, where Eagle Arms Productions was going to ban ghost gun kits, quote unquote, so-called 80% receivers, from sale at their gun show in Harrisburg. I believe they took a bit of flack for that. So there's this piece from The Truth About Guns by Dan Zimmerman from March 18th. Sorry, Josh. Eagle Arms Productions will allow sales of ghost gun build kits after all. Pennsylvania's Attorney General Josh Shapiro made a hasty beeline for the nearest TV cameras on Monday to anxiously announce that he'd managed to pressure the state's largest gun show promoter to end the sale of so-called ghost guns kits at their shows. Eagle Arms Productions confirmed the agreement at the time, but had no more comment about their decision. The move to ban sales of the kits was apparently facilitated behind the scenes for the AG by an allegedly pro-gun organization called Firearms Owners Against Crime. However, that was then and this is now. After much discussion and wrangling, Eagle Arms has reversed its decision and will continue to allow 80% kits to be sold at the company's shows in the Keystone State. So, TTAG spoke with Jordan Vinrow, president of Pennsylvania-based gun kit seller JSD Supply, this afternoon. He confirmed the new arrangement under which Eagle will require vendors selling build kits at their shows to have customers sign a terms of sale agreement affirming that the buyer is of legal age, is not a prohibited person, and can legally own a firearm. That reversal of policy won't make AG Shapiro happy at all, which is a real shame. JSD has issued the following statement regarding the about-face. Public statement from JSD Supply owner to current and future customers. Over the last 3 days, there have been allegations, speeches delivered, decisions made, public press conferences, pro and anti-comments, and phone calls made, and each hour seemed to bring new information. I want you to know that we have and will always hold the same position. The Second Amendment applies to all the people all the time. We've been working behind the scenes to preserve your rights to be able to purchase kits to create your own firearms without government interference. On 3/15/2021, it was announced that some of the gun shows in Pennsylvania would no longer permit sale of non-firearm receivers, more commonly referred to as 80% receivers. We took exception to this, but respect the rights of private business owners to have the ability to make their own decisions about their own business. If this wasn't disheartening enough, the president of an organization claiming to support the Second Amendment made false allegations about JSD Supply, its customers, and its owner. We will not sit idly by and allow this to happen without a fight. John Crump has spearheaded the investigation into the details of the situation and has worked tirelessly to maintain and disperse factual information. He has shed light on several different key components to this attack on your rights. John has allowed all sides to make statements, and we applaud his decision to release unedited, raw calls and interviews for you to form an opinion for yourself. Gun Owners of America have come to your aid in an amazingly timely effort. They published their opinions and statements within what seemed like minutes of getting a clear understanding of what was at stake. They are a true, unwavering Second Amendment organization that deserve your respect and support. We are thrilled to be able to work with them and their team. Vin Fennell is the Pennsylvania director with the GOA and has shown full support by getting the word out to fellow Pennsylvanians on the potential infringements of your rights. He is an amazing resource for our state and for the nation. We want to thank Hank Strange for his ability and willingness to have us on his show. When Hank found out what was happening, we were on his show and in front of his 100,000 plus subscribers in less than 5 hours. Hank is a patriot and understands the value of your rights. Firearms Policy Coalition, Guns and Gadgets, and Rob Pincus also helped in shedding light on this issue. Lastly, we want to thank Eagle Arms Productions for keeping open communication with us, JSD Supply. We understand that it isn't always easy to make the right decision, and we are grateful for the outcome that we both agreed to today. We are moving forward with shows with them and look forward to seeing all of you there. So,
Smells like pickles in here.
is there something a little bit sour going on?
Did you find that sandwich I was looking for?
California pickles.
I was saving a McDonald's quarter pounder for the past 5 years, so I think you might have found it.
Oh, yeah.
Gee, thanks, guys. Yeah, I just got off work, so I jumped in.
Well, hey, hello, how are ya? Glad to see ya.
Yeah, it's Friday, so it's a good day.
Yeah, I hear ya. Well, there's more on this. Let's go ahead and read. Where are we at? Damn it. This is a little bit older. This is John Crump's article on this from March 16th. Firearm owners against crime spars with JSD Supply over unfinished 80% gun frames. Gun show promoter Eagle Arms has caved in to pressure and ban JSD Supply and others from selling unfinished frames and receivers at Pennsylvania gun shows. Now, keep in mind, this was published before this last article where they reversed that decision, and they are, in fact, allowing sale of 80% kits at their gun shows. The ban came after notorious anti-gun attorney general Josh Shapiro applied pressure on the promoter. He wasn't the only one to squeeze Eagle Arms. A Pennsylvania state gun rights group also encouraged the host to ban the sale. That group is the Firearms Owners Against Crime, which Kim Stolfer leads. I first heard of the looming ban last week from a contact inside the show. The same person informed me that he witnessed Stolfer approach the JSD supply tables and berated the employees while he was working the show. Stolfer told the unnamed employee he should be ashamed of himself. I reached JSD Supply President Jordan Vinrow, who confirmed that his employees did have a run-in with FOAC's Kim Stolfer. Since I'm involved in other gun rights organizations, I didn't want to write an article about the interaction. Also, for full disclosure, I have had friendly exchanges with JSD Supply and FOAC in the past. When the ban went into effect and news stories started coming out, AG Shapiro took a victory lap. A lot of articles quoted Stolfer and portrayed him as being instrumental in the ban. On private Facebook groups, I have access to organizations like Ceasefire. I saw them starting to talk about how to capitalize on the victory and start pushing the talking point that even gun rights groups admit there's a problem with ghost guns. My journalism integrity and my curiosity kicked in. I could write what would seem like a hit piece on FOAC, or I could write, "This is just the gun world policing themselves." Also, for full disclosure, I disagree with the latter. Thinking the media can take things out of context, I decided to reach out to Stolfer and FOAC to get their side of the story and clear up what he thinks. After talking to Stolfer, I decided to give Jordan Vinrow a chance to respond to the charges that Stolfer lays at JSD Supply's feet. I also recorded the raw audio of both phone calls with the permission of both Vinrow and Stolfer and uploaded it to YouTube for anyone to listen to and decide for themselves. This way, the reader can listen and make their own decision. Both embedded below. To Stolfer's credit, he doesn't deny the exchange with JSD Supply. He said he doesn't remember exactly what he said, but stands by the statement and went even farther and said JSD Supply doesn't have a soul. In the phone call, he made damning accusations against the retailer, accusing them of everything from marketing to criminals to being responsible for blood in the streets. I feel the best and fairest way to write the article and include the allegations and then give JSD Supply's response. I have attached both raw and unedited phone calls in the article, and I encourage everyone to listen to call exchanges and make up their own mind. He points out that murderers killed 5 people in Philadelphia with completed guns made from Polymer 80 kits. He seems to lay the blame at JSD Supply's feet because, at the Morgantown Gun Show, the AG did a sting and arrested 4 felons with P80s. One of the individuals arrested also had a Smith & Wesson .38 Special revolver. He makes the claim that JSD Supply is illegitimate in selling the kits for their own financial gain. Well, they're in business to do business. He claims that selling the unfinished frames at the gun shows for cash means the company employees have no conscience and no soul. He states that the company knows the people buying them are going to use them and turn them into crime. JSD Supplies Vinrow says that this accusation is not the case. He says it is the everyday hobbyist that is purchasing his products. He says his business is legit and operates legally. He claims that the company has refused the kit sale to people they believe were up to no good. For clarity, FOAC doesn't want the government to ban unfinished frames or to make a registry, but thinks the industry needs to self-regulate. They also believe there should be a paper trail when buying unfinished frames. Stolfer said people should pay by credit card or check to establish a traceable way for law enforcement. When pressed if this would constitute a registry, Stolfer said he doesn't believe it is the same thing. Vinro says JSD Supply has no plan to stop accepting cash. The company believes people should be able to use any U.S. legal tender to pay their purchases. He is also against the idea of a paper trail, that he thinks a paper trail is like a registry. FOAC, by way of Stolfer, also claims that JSD Supply is selling 50 to 100 kits at a time to random people at the gun shows. He believes that people in the inner cities are setting up what amounts to assembly lines for firearms and then selling them on the streets. He equates it to going out into the community and handing out kits saying, "I don't care what you do with them." Vinro flat out denies any purchases of this size outside the sale of kits to other dealers. He did say sometimes people do group buys, but it has always been under 20 even then. Group buys are common in the firearm world. It is when a group of people pool their money to buy an item at a discounted price. Also, Stolfer believes that dealers shouldn't sell unfinished frames in certain areas. I asked him if that meant minority areas. At first, he said that was correct. Later, he corrected himself and said high crime areas. But I guess that's just like, poor kids are as smart as white kids, right? From investigating the Shapiro surveillance operations, the officers seem to be more interested in black customers than white customers, so that is why I asked the question. Vinro says they sell at gun shows and can't control where the shows are hosted. He believes that Stolfer was referring to minority areas. He points to the AG's monitoring of minority buyers as an example of discrimination. Stolfer says JSD Supply only sells 80% kits at the show. I can't say what they were selling at the show he was attending, but I have purchased a SIG trigger from JSD Supply in the past. He was adamant that JSD Supply only sold kits to people that people turned into crime guns. I verified with Vinro that they do, in fact, sell other parts, including triggers. He doesn't know why Stolfer said they only sell kits. Stolfer also takes issue that JSD Supply does not have any signs on their building. He states it looks like a storage area and that JSD brings the kits from Ohio. He believes they are not a legitimate business because of that. Vinro told me that JSD Supply doesn't have a storefront and doesn't want to be targeted from a robbery, so they don't have signs. He says some parts come from Ohio, but most do not. He doesn't understand why where the kits come from was even brought up in the conversation. I guess it's my fault then, not Rocall's. Stolfer ends by hearkening back to his time in Vietnam as a Marine and says the bloodshed he saw shaped his opinion. He also says that he has done more for gun rights in a Keystone state than any other person. Vinro, for his part, doesn't get why a pro-gun organization would be working with anti-gun Democrats like Representative Almond Brown. He has no plans on changing his business model. Who's right? That's for you to decide. So I'm going to go ahead and put a link to this in the chat so you guys can go and listen to this information yourself. Listen to these phone calls and form your own opinions on who is the right in this instance. Personally, I don't think a pro-gun organization should be getting involved in this kind of bullshit and should be saying anything about supporting a ban on any damn thing, because not one fucking inch. That should be every pro-guns organization's default stance, is not 1 inch. But I'm just a fat loudmouth with a camera and a microphone, and I could be wrong. What do you guys think?
I guess I could address. Oh,
As soon as you mentioned that it's this quote unquote pro 2A group they want supporting this, the first thing that came to mind is apparently they're not very pro 2A. That's true, because if they really, sounds like either a bunch of FUDs or a bunch of rhinos running it that and they're trying to pull a undercover mom's man action or something type situation. It's just a true pro 2A group would not be doing this stuff.
Go ahead,
as far as the whole veterans perspective on, I've seen some stuff, and civilians shouldn't have access to weapons of war like this. I had that attitude for about a year, maybe a little less. I saw what military hardware could do, and I thought, civilians really don't have any business with this. But then I got my head out of my ass, and I realized that I took an oath to defend the Constitution. I don't know if you guys are getting that crackling on your end.
A little bit, yeah. We hear some crack-a-lacking.
All right, let's see. Fine.
Did Squib just drop off the face of the earth?
Yeah, but he didn't take his crackle with him.
Aw.
Is
Is the crackle on my end?
I still hear it.
I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, it got
Yeah.
louder.
I can hear it, but I don't know whose it is.
Well,
It's gone now. So it must
Gone
have just
now?
must have been some. There's probably squib at the factory, some interference from some of that.
yeah. Because I'm sure there's a ton of interference from the machinery in there. There's a lot of electrical signals going on. Well, hey, Squib, if you're out there, brother, I'm glad that you were here. And sad I don't get to finish hearing what you had to say on that. So sound off in the chat if you can, or in a comment below and in the replay, brother. Yeah. So do either of the two that are left have anything more to say on that issue?
Well, the guy, Black Cat, did a video about a year or so ago about some type of gun bill that they were trying to pass, and he talked about Josh Shapiro. So I emailed Josh Shapiro right after I watched that video, and he corresponded back. And he stood his ground. I didn't, go all shall not be infringed. I just explained to him. I said, hey, I live in Maryland, and there's a lot of strict gun laws here. And I know a lot of people in Pennsylvania that are good, hard-working, honest people that you're going to affect them, not the bad guys. And then he hit me back with, yeah, I know I've got to look out for this, the best of my, whatever, like the chain letter that they would send back. But he did respond back to me about 2 or 3 days later. Not to say he's a good guy, but contact him. I don't care if you live in Pennsylvania or not. If you believe in contacting these politicians, contact him. You can get his email. It's easy to get. The second they talk about these ghost guns, I mean, I know a lot of thugs and a lot of criminals and a lot of street guys, and not one of them could put a gun together. I mean, I don't even know how to. I'd have to watch a video to build my next AR because I don't remember how it goes together. I watch videos on how to take some of these pistols apart. So, and I'm a gun guy, so I don't imagine some dude off the street that's more concerned about selling crack is going to know how to put all these guns together that's sophisticated. Now, I've watched a bunch of videos on the P80s, and a lot of sophisticated gun guys had a little bit of trouble putting them together. One thing they won't talk about,
I had no problem putting one together, by the way.
I think I don't know if it was Obnoxious or Sarge or Snobby or it was somebody in that group. I think had some trouble putting theirs together. I believe. Maybe I'm sure. I know I saw a couple of videos of people that had slight issues with fitment and the way it functions and stuff like that. They won't talk about crime in minority areas because there's two discussions you have to talk about in crime in minority areas. Why the people are committing the crimes and why the people that run those places haven't done anything about it. And they don't want to have either one of those conversations because you can't blame black people for being criminals because any sensible person knows that hashtag not all black people. It doesn't work that way. It's a very small minority of young black dudes that commit all the crimes in these areas. So they won't talk about that, and they definitely won't talk about their policy. Their policy is what's ruined Baltimore City and Chicago and all that. The Pro 2A thing, Pickle hit it right on the head when I was thinking, goes back to that psychological warfare. There is no anti-2A undercovers. You know, none of us are going to the moms demand action and like, yes, let's go ban guns, and trying to infiltrate. But there's the Boogaloo Boys. The Boogaloo Boys forever were supposed to be these conservative guys that were ready for the Boogaloo. The Boogaloo Boys have been Antifa the whole time. Now we've got all kinds of videos and all kinds of footage of Boogaloo guys with blue hair wearing Black Lives Matter shirts. But they're supposed to be conservative far right wingers. You know, so it's very possible that this pro 2A group is a bunch of leftists that just threw on a NRA hat and infiltrated.
How's my audio now?
Lot better, brother.
Technical diddlies, right?
That's right. It wouldn't be this show without them.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is, as a veteran, for a short time, I had the opinion that civilians have no business with this sort of destructive firepower. And I had that opinion for a short time because I got my head out of my ass and I realized, first, as a veteran, I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to include the Second Amendment, which says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So those two things are in conflict. Well, I have to default to the Constitution and the oath I took. The other thing is, I started thinking about it. And yes, when you go overseas and you see some stuff, you're going, look at what this hardware, look at what all this equipment can do. But it wasn't the equipment. That's like blaming the gun for the murder. It was the people behind the equipment, the people who had access to the equipment. What was in the hearts of the people using the equipment? The reason the warlords run Somalia is because they're the only ones with the guns. The reason that you had all those factions in Bosnia wiping out entire villages, committing genocide, is because they were the ones with all the military equipment that was left behind. So when only the bad guys, or when only the government has the weapons, people are at the mercy of that government or of those bad guys. And having seen that is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely freaking retarded that I had the idea in my head that civilians have no business with this sort of hardware. Absolutely they do, because Somalia and Bosnia might not have been a thing if the population was well armed. So for a short time, I had that whole, I'm a veteran, I've seen stuff, blah, blah, blah. I do not support any veteran who says that, ever. I don't care what side they're on. I do not support them. I do not think they are thinking it through. It's almost like a form of virtue signaling. And I do not agree with it. And I just want to let people know where maybe some people get those ideas from, but how they're misguided, or they're pushing an agenda and they're just full of shit. They're just full of shit.
Good. And yeah, they are full of shit. Flat out. I know one thing. I'm probably going to order another polymer 80 frame from JSD Supply tonight.
And that's where Kingpin was saying that's where, I'm pretty sure the person out of the Gun Channel's crew that was having issues with the P80, it was obnoxious. And that's where I think it come to find out that he picked up had some there was some problems with the injection molding on his, so things weren't to spec.
So what do you guys think? Black, flat dark earth, gray, or OD green?
Sorry?
What do you guys think? Black, flat dark earth, gray, or OD green?
Black.
Squib?
He said black. You just didn't hear it.
Do something different. Go with gray.
Gray. Kingpin?
I could get with the gray. I mean, I vote black, but Squib does have a good point. If you do want to switch it up a little bit, go with the gray. I'm not a big fan of the OD green and the flat dark earth.
If this is plastic injection molded, all gray is off black. That's all it is.
Oh, okay. What do you guys think out in the chat? Should I get black, flat, dark earth, gray, or OD green? Let me know.
Here, I have a little bit of detail question for you. You're talking about the grip frame now, right?
Yeah, just the frame.
About what is your barrel color going to be? Your slide color or your trigger?
Well, I don't know.
Now, are you gonna go off the chain and just have like a really colorful gun, or you have?
You mean
you
a
have
pimp
no
gun? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I'll get back to that later. Because I got one in here that I need to finish that has a OD green frame and kind of a burnt bronze slide. 19 link grip, 17 link slide. I need to get a barrel for it.
Yeah, that's for the FMK I just picked up. It has, they call it, a flat dark earth frame. Really, it's more of a, I don't know. It's not what I would call flat dark earth. It's a little too light, so it's kind of a dusty dirt road, I guess, is the best way. Kind of more something like that. But yeah, it looks kind of interesting with having the black slide on. That's the way it came from the factory. I didn't want to wait the extra week for the black all black to come in.
Yeah. Out there in the chat, they're saying, let's see, we got one for dark earth, one for gray, one for OD, one for gray. So right now, gray's winning. We'll see where that is by the end of the show, if anybody else cares to weigh in on it. So, yeah. Moving on. Let me go to the next topico, because it's time to start talking about some good stuff. There's this piece from the AP. South Carolina House okays bill allowing open carry of guns from March 17th. Columbia, South Carolina. The South Carolina House gave key approval Wednesday to a bill allowing people to carry guns without concealing them. Legislators voted 82-33 in favor of the so-called open carry bill after more than 6 hours of debate, with some Democrats joining Republicans. The legislation would allow people who already have a concealed weapons permit to keep those guns visible in public. The state is just one of 5 without open carry, joining atypical partners such as California, Florida, Illinois, and New York. The bill is enthusiastically backed by many Republicans and conservatives who have said it makes sense to let people carry the weapons they can already have in a visible holster. Laws against pointing a gun at someone or threatening someone with a gun without a legal reason would remain on the books. This bill brings us in line with the vast majority of the country, said lead bill sponsor Representative Bobby Cox, a Republican from Greenville. Some Democrats said legalizing open carry would lead to more violence and death in the state, and they accused Republicans of voting for the bill to win political points with voters. Who's fucking fear-mongering now? Democratic State Representative Jermaine Johnson of Hopkins said open carry is a privilege for white people, but dangerous for a black man like him, a former college basketball player who is 6'7" and has tattoos. This bill as it stands will be no more than legalized hunting for black people, Johnson said. He urged lawmakers to see the issue through the eyes of African Americans. I'm 35 years old, Johnson said, and I would love to live as long as some people in here. Well, keep being stuck on stupid and you won't. The Republican majority cast aside dozens of amendments from members of both parties, ranging from letting people with felonies regain their gun rights after completing their sentences to creating a state gun buyback program. The House did adopt an amendment by Representative Justin Bamberg, a Democrat from the city of Bamberg, that adds proper firearm handling and de-escalation strategies to mandatory training requirements. Lawmakers also approved tweaks to the bill to give private and public employers and businesses, as well as property owners, the option to ban open carry on their premises. Currently, South Carolina requires a background check and training to get a concealed weapon permit, but no additional training is required after the license is issued. A constitutional carry bill that would let people own guns without any permit requirements is also slated to be debated in the House later this spring after it passed the House committee Tuesday. Prior attempts to expand gun laws in the state have died repeatedly, though this year's proposal picked up steam after Republicans gained 5 seats in the General Assembly in the 2020 elections. Some law enforcement leaders have said the bill could lead to more gun violence and domestic killings in a state that is often ranked among the worst in the country for such violence. They said fights could escalate to shootings more quickly under open carry, and that such a law would make it hard for police to sort out who is committing a crime. I was about to say something really horrible. Do you have to have a single-digit IQ to be a fucking cop in South Carolina? Because that's just plain dumb. Just because you don't have to conceal the gun means you're going to be more likely to kill your family. What a fucking idiot. And yes, I know, I've kind of cast aside the no F-bomb thing tonight, but that's just egregiously stupid. Should have put that dickhead in the moron list.
Yes, for questions like, do they have to have single digit? That's for, since our, good friend Night Strike, I believe, lives in that state, we should get his opinion on law enforcement.
Well, I'm currently quarking him, so he's probably not going to say squat to me right now.
We need politicians and reporters and everybody else to talk just like you just did. When somebody like this dude says that he's scared to go outside because he's a 6 foot tall black guy and, he doesn't have white privilege, a reporter or somebody who cares about detail would ask him the first question, like, oh, well, tell me what happened. Explain that to me. Where have you been? But nobody's going to do that. And then the one person that did push back, Donald Trump, as soon as everybody said, hey, we need to have somebody that's going to go at these politicians and go at these media and cut the BS, as soon as he started doing that, we all got...
He's mean!
We all started wetting our pants and getting all butthurt about him being mean. No. Now look what we got. They won't ask Joe Biden any questions that aren't about ice cream.
Mike Warhorse wants to know, hey, is anyone keeping track of how many bad... Go ahead.
So anytime they try to ask him any questions, they just blow him off.
I'd like to point out something.
Sure.
This guy says that this is going to be open season on black people. What's the skin color of most of the people who kill black people? Okay, I'll say it because, nobody else probably wants to. You get in so much trouble. More black people kill other black people. It's not a racist statement, although somebody will twist it into that. It's a statistical fact. So if anything, this black politician is saying that by granting black people the right to open carry in the state of South Carolina, they're going to kill more black people. Wouldn't that be racist of him to say? I mean,
I'm sure his response would be, I was talking about cops.
Who already open carry.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, because the cops...
No, if the black people are open carrying...
Okay. I don't think he understands what open carry... I don't think it means what he thinks it means. Yeah. Okay? Open carry means it's in a holster and it's visible on 3 sides, right? It's not concealed or partially concealed. Open carry doesn't mean walking down the street with it in your hand, just waving it around, going, hey, what's up, everybody? That's not open carry. So maybe what he needs to do is he needs to be properly informed on the definition. If a cop sees a guy with a gun in his holster, he might be more leery. He might even put his hand on his gun and he might call for backup. He might tell the guy to stop. He might tell the guy, I want to see your ID or whatever. He might say, I'm going to take this gun for my safety until I make sure everything's good. If you cooperate and you ain't a criminal and the gun ain't stolen, you ain't got a worry in the world. So his logic is flawed. It's completely flawed. But if you want to walk down the street with a gun in your hand, waving it around, yeah, you're already committing a crime. So you're a criminal.
Yep.
You guys remember the TV show that the left destroyed called Live PD?
Rona. Yes, I remember that.
There was 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Friday. And they pulled over black people all over South Carolina, all over Arizona. Bless you.
Dang.
all over all these places, and they all had guns on them. And what happened? None of them got shot. None of them got chased. The dude was like, the gun's in the glove compartment, or the gun's in my hip. And the cop asked him if it was, legal. Yep, pretty much. Run the numbers. Okay, cool. See y'all later. Here's your ticket for speeding, or here's your ticket for having marijuana without a license, or whatever the stupid thing was. None of it, tons and tons of young black men have legal concealed permits and don't get shot by the cops every day.
Well, that's crazy talk. I think you're just being dumb. Speaking of...
If you're a black woman in Tennessee, the cop will ask you to please put the gun down right before you shoot him. So, yeah.
The guy in Detroit, that police commissioner, black dude, or head of the police department somehow, he came out and said, I encourage everyone to go get a concealed carry permit. And he said specifically, the ladies in this Detroit area, you go out and you get a gun.
I think living in Detroit and not having a gun is just plain stupid. Speaking of just plain stupid.
And now prepare yourself for another tale of stupidity in this episode of Moron of the Week.
First up, as a contestant in Moron of the Week, we'll talk about this piece from Mom at Arms blog by William Shanahan. Everytown and Moms Demand Action members trying to shame DoorDash without any proof. Come on, enough already with this crap. I'm with the guy who commented, by the way. All the screeching hens for Moms Demand can be seen in the comments. It shows a Twitter post. This is from someone. Says, I didn't know carrying a loaded gun and a magazine was a requirement to deliver food. Yes, your driver showed up at my door just like that. I am a survivor of gun violence. Is this your policy? He's not allowed to have self-protection? Self-protection from what? It's daylight. It was no contact. So he needed a loaded gun and magazine and another person in his car? Got it. Not on my property, period. Wait, so if it was no contact, doesn't that mean you didn't even open the door to talk to him or even see the gun in person? You mean you're so privileged that this entire thread is about a gun you saw on his hip through a window or on a security camera? And Brenda Moss, by the way, is an activist at Everytown. Gee, Brenda, why would DoorDash drivers, whose job is to deliver to strangers, want to legally carry? I'm sorry about the loss of your son, but screw your feelings in this case. And then it goes to show a bunch of videos about DoorDash drivers being attacked. So, hey, Brenda Moss, you Everytown a-hole, you're our first contestant on Moron of the Week. Oh, and by the way, I've been getting my side hustle on and delivering for DoorDash. Matter of fact, I delivered today. And guess what was my constant companion with every single delivery I've ever made? Give you 3, and the first 2 don't count. Next up.
Wait, budget?
That's for, can I make one comment about that before we move on?
Shoo.
Yeah,
sure.
Then me.
That's right. I was gonna say, wasn't one of the big early companies producing body armor started by a guy that was got shot as a pizza delivery guy? So,
I think so.
So wouldn't it kind of make sense why they would want to have potentially passive and active forms of self-protection when you're going God knows where, delivering to God knows who at God knows what time of day?
Yep.
She made some
Mike
sort of
Warhorse,
statement.
you got that exactly on the you hit that nail on the head, brother. Yes, my EC9S was in my pocket today. Go ahead, Squib.
She made some statement about, what about my son?
Yeah, apparently her son died in gun violence.
Okay, here's the thing. For all the people out there who've had children, loved ones, acquaintances, whatever, killed by a firearm in
With
a
a firearm.
crime. With a fire. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. With a firearm, not by the firearm, with a firearm in a crime. Or even due to negligence, which could still be criminal. If you want somebody who doesn't know you to have sympathy for you. Don't even talk about taking away everybody's liberties so that you can get some sort of feeling of closure that you're really not going to get from taking away somebody else's right. If you think I want to be sympathetic to you and your loss for 1 second when you want to take away my right to protect my family and myself, you're sadly mistaken. And if somebody thinks I'm cold and callous and intolerant, I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
That is no way for you to gain sympathy. It's like badmouthing the company right before you go into the job interview and going, did I get the job? Really?
Yeah. I mean, hell, my daughter was killed in a traffic accident. She was struck by a tractor trailer. You don't see me advocating that everybody be forced to drive horses and buggies like Amish and any freight be hauled by fucking wagon train. So, don't be an idiot. But, hey, guess what? That gives us fodder for Moron of the Week. Speaking of fodder for Moron of the Week, our next one is pretty darn good, too. This is from Breitbart. Democratic Representative Chu. Atlanta shootings were a culmination of hate stoked by Trump's xenophobia. Yes, folks, the Atlanta shooting is Trump's fault. Representative Judy Chu, Democrat, California, said Wednesday on MSNBC's All In that the 3 shootings at Atlanta area spas killing 8 people was a culmination of a whole year's worth of hate that was stoked by xenophobia of Donald Trump. Chu said, "We were shocked and heartbroken when we heard about the deaths of these 8 people, 6 of them being Asian women. We think that this is a culmination of a whole year's worth of hate that was stoked by the xenophobia of Donald Trump. Let me point out that this man says that this was not a hate crime, but he picked 3 businesses to deal with this sex addiction, and all 3 of them just happened to be Asian businesses, with the first one being called Young's Asian Massage. So what does that lead you to believe when the majority of the victims were Asian Americans? Actually, it leads me to believe that he had a thing for Asians. Not that he didn't like him. Not that he didn't like him, but that he did. Nonetheless, it is something that you could have seen from this year and what has happened with the 3,800 hate crimes and incidents that have occurred. So because Donald Trump rightly pointed out that the Wuhan COVID-19 virus came from China, this was all Donald Trump's fault. So Chew the Chump, you're contestant number 2 on Moron of the Week. Next up, this is from Twitter. A tweet by a fellow named Billy Eichner, 4 times Emmy nomination for Billy on the Street. My heart goes out to all my AAPI friends today. I remember how I felt after Pulse and Tree of Life. It is a horrible, uneasy feeling that is hard to shake. I'm thinking of you and will always fight for you. And we need gun reform now. It won't save everyone, but it will save many. A bill for expanded background checks passed the House recently, with 8 Republicans voting for it as well. We must put pressure on to get it passed in the Senate. The world will reopen soon to a newly empowered, vindictive, MAGA, white supremacist population. We need protection. Because, the background check that the son of a bitch passed, if we expand background checks that the guy passed, this would have done something for this. So, Billy the bullshitter, you're contestant number 3 for Moron of the Week. But not to be outdone, we got another one that jumped on this bandwagon, because Julianne Moore says misogyny and racism are hateful ideologies that are made even more deadly in America by easy access to guns. It's time for Congress to act. We need stronger gun laws. Stop Asian Hate, hashtag HR 8, HR 1446. So, these bills which would have done nothing to stop this. This silly bitch is, there's some misogyny for you. This silly bitch is pushing that. So, Jerkwad Julie is contestant number 4. So, I now go to my esteemed panel. Who deserves it? The Everytown a-hole, Chew the Chump, Billy the bullshitter, or Julie the jerkwad? Squib?
Julie the jerkwad, because she mentioned actual real legal action that's pending right now.
So Jerkwad Julie gets Squib's vote. Pickle, who gets yours?
I'll second Squib.
Kingpin?
I'm going to go with story number 3.
Eichner, Bill the Bullshitter?
Yeah.
For me, it's Chew the Chump because, yeah, that's just dumb as hell. But it's not my opinion that matters. It's yours out there in the chat. We got 16 people watching now, so let me hear some votes. Everytown a-hole for the DoorDash thing. Chew the Chump for it's all Donald Trump's fault. Bill the Bullshitter for we need more background checks because, that would have stopped this. And Julianne Moore for saying, yeah, what he said. It's up to you guys out there in the chat. Let me know. No, we can't do all of them, Jacob. David Ramirez says, number 2, Chew the Chump. Or all of the above. No, we can't do all of them, even though they all deserve it.
Well, you gave us, a lot of really good choices this week. That's happening.
That's my job.
Yeah, that's true.
James Pellerin says, Chew the Chump.
You definitely made it difficult on, those of us having to choose. That's for when you've got 4 people that are breathtakingly stupid, it's hard to choose which one's the most.
Oh, and there could have been more. Easily. Just in the main topics, there were at least 2 or 3 of them that could have been in there. The ones that made me about blow my gasket. Tennessee Gun Guy gives me his proxy. Ooh, well, you know what? I'll give this to the Everytown a-hole. Roll Call says the same thing, Everytown. So we got 3 for Everytown, 3 for Chew, 1 for Eichner, and 2 for Moore. And Gabriel says Moore, so 3 for Moore. So we got Everytown, Chew, and Moore tied for the winner on this one. Billy the Bullshitter says Buck. And hi, Buck. How you doing? Anybody else have any opinions on this? Got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 votes here. So I know we have people out there in the chat who haven't said anything. Weigh in on this. Tell me, who do you think deserves moron of the week the most? The Everytown a-hole for saying that DoorDashers shouldn't be armed. Chew the Chump for saying that the spa shooting was Donald Trump's fault. Bill the Bullshitter for saying that, HR 8 and expanded background checks would have made this tragedy go away. That's, because of this, that's what we need. And Julianne Moore for saying, yeah, what he said. M. Gabriel wants to write in Joe for being a stumbling, fumbling fool and not being able to walk up steps. Maybe they should put one of those chair lifts on the ramp, the stair thing up to Air Force One. That way, they can accommodate Joe's obvious handicap. Jacob S. says, Billy, we're all tied, folks. 3, 3, 3, and 3. So I need a tiebreaker here, folks. I've already cast my vote. This is a close race today, man. I like it, though. Let's get some... Oh, Defense Dad says Chump. So far, Chump pulls ahead by 1. 3 for Everytown a-hole. 4 for Chew the Chump. 3 for Bill the Bullshitter. And 3 for Julie the Jerkwad. Jacob S. says, no, the DoorDash idiot. So, okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of Billy and give this to DoorDash. So that's 4 tied for Chew and Everytown a-hole. Let me get something else in here, folks. 1 more vote. That's all I need. Of course, somebody will vote for one of the other ones and, make a 3-way tie. Mike Warhorse says, a lot of good examples. It was a hard decision. I need one person who hasn't weighed in to weigh in on this. I might have to flip a coin between the top 2 then. I really don't want random chance to decide this.
Yeah, quick, Squid, jump over one of your alt channels.
No, because I know who they are. Are we really going to leave this to random chance people? Come on. I know there's
no,
somebody.
You don't know all of them.
I know there's somebody out there watching who has not weighed in. Tell me. David Ramirez, not that kind of freeway. All right, folks, going once before I have to flip a coin. Going twice before I have to flip a coin. Going 3 times before I got to flip the coin. Oh, man. Watch, I'll probably drop it, too. Because I'm not real coordinated. Mike Warhorse says, DoorDash. Did you vote, Mike, earlier? Let me see. Let me go back up and check the voting records in the Dominion machine. Yeah, no, Mike already voted, so I can't count that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip the coin.
That's for here. I was afraid we were doing, mail-in votes that didn't have to be verified.
Heads, we got Everytown A-hole. Tails, chew the chump. And the winner is heads, Everytown A-hole. You are the moron of the week.
And there we had another tale of stupidity in this week's episode of Moron of the Week.
Holy cow, that was a close one, wasn't it? I can't believe it was so daggone close.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, it's hard to tell what you like better because sometimes a real good blowout is exciting, but then you also like the really tight, tight scores.
Yeah. Well, I got one self-defense shout-out, and it's not necessarily a case of self-defense as it is a cautionary tale. Thankfully, it worked well for the person involved, but it's more an example of how not to go through your day. Fast thinking in a fast car save a naval officer from an armed carjacker by Jennifer Sensiba from March 13th, 2021. A recent carjacking attempt in Jacksonville, Florida shows us the value of situational awareness, quick thinking, and fast cars. Draper Younce, that's how I'll say it. Draper Younce, a naval officer, got a nasty surprise in a parking lot. A man ran from around the side of an apartment building and pointed a handgun at him while he was sitting in his Tesla Model 3 talking on his phone. The first thing I said was, "No, man, I'm not getting out of the car," Younce told Fox Business. And the second thing I said, "This is a Tesla. You can't steal a Tesla." What the would-be robber didn't know was that the whole thing was caught on the vehicle's 8 cameras. While the cameras were originally added to Tesla vehicles for use with the car's driver assist technology, they can also be set to act as an advanced multi-angled dash camera system. The car can record everything that happens around it. Younce told media outlets like Fox Business and Action News Jax that he waited for the right moment to escape, and the car's unique features gave it to him. That actually was a good thing to do. Wait your turn. If you guys watch Active Self-Protection, you hear that a lot. Wait your turn, wait your turn. When the carjacker attempted to grab the door handle, he found that he couldn't because they're flush with the car when it's locked. The brief moment of confusion caused the robber to point his gun away from Younce briefly. That's when the driver decided to launch the vehicle like a SpaceX rocket. The robber managed to get off one shot, striking the car's B-pillar. The shot narrowly missed striking Younce. At that point, footage from the vehicle's rear camera shows the carjacker fleeing the scene. While the vehicle can be set to continuously record, it doesn't save the footage to a memory card or hard drive unless the driver tells it to do so. In Younce's case, he programmed it to save footage when he honked the horn, which he quickly did once he was out of harm's way. Younce is offering a cash reward in hopes that by sharing the footage, someone can identify the robber. More information is available on his Twitter feed. What we can learn. Situational awareness is key. The sooner you see someone advancing on you with a gun, the sooner you're able to take action. In this case, seeing the man approaching in the mirror could have led to the owner driving away sooner. By not seeing the carjacker until he was already in his face pointing a gun at him, the owner was only able to narrowly avoid being shot. The situation could have been much worse had the shot gone just a few inches to the right. Don't forget to train for situations like this. Start by visualizing what you would do during an attempted carjacking, then find safe ways to practice dealing with the situation on the range. In some situations, you'll want to drive off if at all possible, especially if you have kids in the vehicle. If that's not possible, you'd be better off fighting or letting them take the car. If you do choose to fight, make sure you have an opening, like a moment where the thief is distracted and briefly turns away. One oddball non-lethal tip I got from a guy who had just been robbed several times in New York is to use dollar bills like fighter jets use flares and chaff. Thieves are looking for a quick buck, and the guy would carry $10 in singles in his pocket. If someone presented a knife or gun, he'd throw the money on the ground to distract the thief and run while the thief stooped down to grab the cash. In every case, the thieves went for the money. Having a fast, technologically sophisticated car doesn't hurt either. Hopefully, as more vehicles not only go electric, but add cameras for accident avoidance and self-driving capability, and also capture every move a potential carjacker makes, more of them think twice before trying it. But hope isn't a plan. No, it isn't. So, that wraps it up, folks.
With regard to the Tesla,
Uh-huh.
if New York Outcast is out there listening now or on replay, oh yeah, all those fancy technological things. See, they do come in handy.
Woohoo. When we're done here, folks, head on over to Giffords Gary to listen to Foul Territory. He should be coming on at 9, so go give him a look-see. Speaking of give a look-see, give our panel a look-see. Let me go through and let them give their plugs and final thoughts on things. Squib, is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Where can people find you?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, there you have it. He's good. Pickle, what about you?
Well, I appreciate the invite, even though I wasn't able to jump on until after work. You can find my, content, here on YouTube. You can find stuff on Instagram, Parler, MeWe, Gab.com, and a few other places. I've been throwing my stuff up in multiple places. Other than
Just
that,
spreading it all around town.
Well, that's where there's a name for that type of person, but I don't know if you want it on your show.
Slut.
Bingo.
Kingpin, good to see you back, brother. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give a shout out to Gun Loving Grandpa. He puts out a video every now and then, so go check out his stuff. Really good to be back with you live. It's been a long time, and just glad that I still get invites, man. So I'm happy to spend some time with you, man.
Oh, you always will, brother. You are welcome back anytime you choose to come. Anytime. Let's see. Look on it. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to pull something up. I want to thank everybody for coming, everybody on my panel for being here. You guys are great. I appreciate it. I definitely want to thank everybody out there in the chat. You could have been doing anything with your Friday night, but you chose to spend it here talking with us. And as always, I am humbled and amazed by it. I want to remind you guys that between now and April 2nd, if you go over to Budget Guns and Gear Reviews at this link down below, you can sign up for the Basic Survival Workshop I'm having on April 17th. If you sign up between now and April 2nd and use the code BUDGET25, you get $25 off the price. So go check that out. We have an important hearing coming up in the Senate this week with all these gun control bills fueled by the media's fervor over and exploitation of this atrocity in Atlanta. They're painting us all as terrorists. You know, it's not because they hate the guns, it's because they hate you, and most especially they hate you having the guns. So make sure you contact your Congress critter and elected representatives and let them know what you think. Send them a snail mail, email, telephone, telegraph, carrier pigeon, smoke signal, semaphore, everything that you can and have to do to let them know what you think. And never, ever, ever give up the fight. I'll talk to you guys next week.